So there's a girl, it's a baby girl that's born deaf quick.
They will hate it.
Just making up random stuff.
Yeah,
They hate it. They hate it.
Is this in your imagination?
Yeah, imagination, yeah. The news ain't lying
Brains
about
of
that, are
rice
they?
in her mouth
Yeah.
to choke her to death.
Yeah.
This is human rights.
We all know what goes on.
Are you from India?
Are you from India? Are you from
The fact is, we're talking about whether this is true or not. Don't change the subject.
No, are you from
Yeah,
India?
No,
but
don't
we're
change
talking
it.
about India, so he's asked you the right question.
The subject is,
So how are you talking about
the
this?
subject
Are you
is,
from
the
India?
subject is.
Are you from India?
So where are you from?
No, I'm not
Where
from
are you
India.
from?
Don't
Where are
be
you from?
ignorant like the
Where are you
lady.
from? Where are
Don't
you
assume
from?
I'm Indian. I'm not
Where are
Indian.
you from?
I'm not Indian. I'm not Indian. So don't assume.
Kala says it.
Yeah.
The fact is,
Just because I'm this colour doesn't mean I'm Indian. Yeah, there you go. So don't be
Not the
ignorant
colour.
like that lady.
It's a Bengalese one.
oh yeah.
He's Indian, yes.
Right.
It's very equal in many of these countries.
Why the villagers are smuggling brides?
According to who? Who said
Why are
that?
they doing that?
Female infanticide
sources?
in India is today still exists. Okay? So please read it.
You're
Don't
making it
argue
up.
for the sake of argument.
You're making it up.
All this is the worst.
If that was true,
this is the
if
worst
that's
in India.
true,
Female
why is the
infanticide
number of boys and girls equal?
No, it's not.
It's not equal.
It
You're
is.
wrong.
It
You're
is.
wrong.
It is.
You are, my
It
friend,
is.
you are wrong. You
It
don't
is.
have your, you don't even. You don't know where you.
It is true. It
Women
is
don't
true.
have a say in India. That's not
If
equal,
I
is
Google
it?
and if it's not equal, what is your, tell me what is your,
It is
what would you
equal.
do after that? If I just, if I prove it's not equal.
Okay.
Much
What's your source?
I will check the
You
source.
just made it up.
I
You've just
don't
been
need-
making stuff up.
Do you think I'm like
What
you?
is your source?
Do you think I'm like
You
you?
stated that to be a
Do you think
fact,
I'm like
and you don't
I'm
have a
like,
source.
Come on, it's a fact. All over the
You
world
stated
is,
this. To,
man, what you
stated facts, and you don't have a source for your facts.
Brother, can you just check the
India is the first caste system, class system, okay, worst female infanticide,
What century are you? Do you know what caste is? Caste is an English word. It's not. Caste is an English word.
Do you know this?
Caste is an English
You understood
word.
or not? What I said.
So what are you
Do
talking
you
about?
understand what I said?
He's talking about the
What you're saying is wrong.
There's a caste system.
You are confusing
There are
Varna.
people. There are people.
Your
They cannot
your
even come
caste
out
is an
in the
English.
morning.
You're
There are
making
people
up random
socially-
facts.
So what is it in Hindi? Is it
First of all, it's not caste. It's Varna. And you know what Varna is?
I know you.
You don't know. You don't know about the topic.
Who created to death?
what about
Varna, my friend. Varna means vocation. From Sanskrit. Vocation, Varna.
what about Jati?
It's propaganda that was introduced, propaganda in the 19th century propaganda. You had a caste system.
What about-
You had sati.
What about Jati? What
This
about
is
Jati?
propaganda.
What about Jati?
And you've fallen.
He's right.
You've fallen
He's
for
right. You are
propaganda.
It's all right.
You have. You've fallen propaganda.
What about Jati? Is that something which is caste?
There's a
Varna
caste
means.
system,
Varna means. Varna means
I
vocation.
believe him. He's like
Varna means vocation.
There is
From
untouchable.
Sanskrit.
There is untouchable.
Okay.
And they are not allowed to untouchable,
Yeah.
and they are not. What are you talking about?
The untouchables, they
There's a
cannot get
big
married
majority in
without
India.
the
Untouchable,
owners,
and they are not allowed to.
consent,
They are not allowed to come in the state highway.
If what you're saying is true,
without getting paid.
if what you're saying is true, why does the Constitution of India make untouchability illegal?
They made it illegal. They made it illegal.
Exactly.
It's not in practice. They've
If
made
India got independence, India got independence in 1947.
What's saving India
Why is it illegal under the
What's saving
Constitution?
India is there. It's their
Why
constitution.
is it illegal?
They have
Who made it illegal?
Guys, why do you
They
shout?
have-
You're just
Why is
standing
it
so close.
illegal?
No need to shout.
Why is
I'm not shouting,
why
but
is
he's not.
I know,
he's
you
not
both.
letting me speak.
discrimination?
If you let me speak,
No.
I don't need to shout.
By the way, why did the Indian Constitution have a special clause in there for this lower caste to be treated equally? Is it because they were treated unequally? Good point.
What the Constitution was doing, what the Constitution was doing, was it was guaranteeing that India divided up into Varnas, which is different vocations.
By whom?
And by the way,
Who divided them into Varnas?
these are self-selecting vocations that communities specialized in.
No, but is it in the Hindu scriptures?
The Varna system happened as a result of specialization. In Britain, in London today.
No, is it a Vedic philosophy?
Don't interrupt me. Let me answer the question.
Yeah, but you were
in
interrupting
London,
him just now.
in London today, you have people who specialize. So you have people, you have trades. Varna means trade. Is man's right here. Well, very wise. So it means in Sanskrit a person who specializes. You're much more likely to be a good plumber if your parents were a plumber, especially before you had universities, before you had vocational colleges. You had to be an apprentice. In order to be an apprentice, the master who would teach you, the master plumber. Let me finish. Don't change the subject. Let me finish. Let me finish. You don't like the truth because the truth is different from the propaganda in your mind. You don't want wisdom.
No, it's not wisdom.
It is. A master plumber. Let me finish. Let me finish, and you can speak. The master plumber would not teach a random person's son or daughter to be a plumber unless he was paid a high fee. Why would he do that? Because that person would compete with him. So for that person's son or daughter, they would teach them as an apprentice plumber for free. And that was the reason why you got families specializing in vocations. And the highest paid people in India were included the caste that were metal workers.
Common knowledge. Yeah, but no,
it's common knowledge, yes.
No, it's not
metal workers. And the only reason why, let me finish. Your so-called untouchables included the metal workers. Yeah. The metal workers were once one of the richest communities in India, the metal workers. And their income collapsed. And their income didn't collapse because some Brahmin priest said they're untouchables, that these are evil people. Their income collapsed because of industrialization. The metal goods were being made in factories. So those metal workers became extremely poor. The East India Company banned... Let me finish. The East India Company banned manufactured goods from India, and these metal workers and manufacturing workers became extremely poor. They became the poorest people in India.
India is the worst.
So what you're saying is, what you're saying is completely wrong.
If you enter in Brahman's
temple, you don't have the wisdom on the topic.
They burn you alive.
Yeah, I know.
You're just making up propaganda, my friend.
No, it's not propaganda. Have you read the... Okay, now you have spoken a lot. Will you let us speak without interrupting? Okay. Do you believe the Upanishads are something which is Hindu scriptures which they believe as a Shruti?
Upanishads are a part of a vast literature which no single human being could ever read. The Vedas, the Upanishads, and the other scriptures.
Is it a Hindu scripture?
These are millions of
I didn't ask you how many they are. I just asked you, are they Hindu scriptures which are credible according to the Hindus?
No, because no, they're not credible. Because
Upanishads are not credible.
I've read Upanishads.
So which scriptures are...
The Upanishads,
by the way, why shouting?
The Vedas,
can you have a civilized conversation without shouting?
The Upanishads include, for example, the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
The Bhagavad Gita is very close to Buddhism. Other parts of the Vedas and the Upanishads are very close to a more warlike religion, like, say, Islam, which is very warlike. So different aspects of
Ashoka
the Vedas,
was warlike.
The different
Ashoka was a Hindu. He fought wars.
Different parts of the Vedas have a different.
Okay, give me one scripture. Give me one scripture.
Let me finish.
No, I just asked you one question. You went into
Vedas. You have many different sub-religions within the Vedas.
Are the Vedas considered Hindu scriptures?
You have many
are the
different
Vedas considered Hindu scriptures?
The Vedas are considered a body of scriptures that you can choose to follow, and different wise men, different gurus, as they
What's the difference between a Shruti? Wait. Let's see if you know the difference between Shruti and Smriti. Do you know the difference between Shruti and Smriti? Because the Upanishads and the Vedas come under Shruti, which they have to follow, which cannot be changed, unlike the Smriti. If you read Manusmriti, that is where most of these caste, discriminations come from. If you read, there's a reason. Look.
The laws of Manu.
I let you speak. No, I let you speak. Allow me to speak without interrupting. Without interrupting. I did not. No. The reason, doctor.
This is what we've been doing earlier.
The reason.
You're making stuff up.
You're interrupting.
Bro, wait.
You don't have any sources.
Brother, wait. The reason.
Repeating propaganda. propaganda.
The reason, doctor.
19th century propaganda as if it's fact.
By the way, Upanishads.
I know what the sources are. From where your propaganda began. Anyway, let the gentleman continue. Let the
The
gentleman.
Upanishads are not from the 19th century. They are not propaganda. They are Hindu scriptures.
Okay.
Wait, let me finish without interrupting. I'll let you speak at least for 20 minutes or something.
No, you haven't.
I have.
About 3 or 4 minutes I've spoken.
Okay, so at least allow 3 or 4 minutes without interrupting. The Smriti and the Shruti, which you don't know the difference, and I'm sure you don't know. Otherwise, you wouldn't say the Upanishad something which they choose to follow. No, it is Upanishads and the Vedas are considered to be major texts of the Hindus, which they do take very seriously. Maybe you don't. I don't know.
Okay, you're changing now. You're jumping
No, I'm not.
around.
I'm talking about the scripture.
Follow or take seriously. This is two very different things.
Okay, when you take something seriously, do you not follow it?
There are
Not necessarily.
Huge
Okay.
population
Not
of
necessarily.
untouchables in India.
Let me give you an illustration.
No, but I haven't finished it. You didn't even give me 1 minute.
Let me give you
You're already interrupting after 1 minute.
No,
let me finish. I give you use the 3-4 minutes.
Don't jump onto
You did
separate
not-
points.
It's not
Don't
separate
jump-
points.
You are.
I use
Let me
the
address
scripture.
point, then you can come back.
Okay.
No, don't move
I
on.
will interrupt you then.
Whether
I
you
will
take
interrupt you.
something seriously.
I will interrupt you.
Okay,
I will interrupt you
Take
if you-
something seriously.
Okay, if you don't
or you
do-
must follow it are two
Okay.
different things. I take, for example, the Quran very seriously.
No, you don't.
Do I literally follow everything in the Quran? Of course not. Nobody can follow every single thing in a book because nobody's perfect. So the point I'm basically making is that there's a vast literature in Hinduism, and I've listened to a lot of the literature, the Quran. I've sat in the Regent's Park Mosque. I've been to Hindu temples, Christian churches, Buddhist temples as well for meditation, and I've learned something in all of them. Christianity, I love the Sermon on the Mount.
What's that got to do with the topic?
So the point I'm trying to make is this.
Is what?
The point I'm trying to make is this.
Do you have to believe in the scriptures or you don't? That's the question I asked you.
Is that I take a lot of
let me
scriptures
tell
very
you. Okay,
seriously,
now I
but
got
I
this,
don't believe
I
that
got
I
a-
must follow them.
I got this.
So,
literally.
Okay, which sampradaya of the Hindus do you follow if you're a Hindu?
My friend,
We are in a different discussion.
I have listened to a lot of
I didn't ask you whom you
Upanishads,
listened.
the Upanishads.
I just asked you, which
And the Bhagavad
sampradaya do you
Gita.
follow?
And I believe that in the Bhagavad Gita, just as in the Quran,
Yeah.
and just as in the writings of the Buddha, and just as in the Bible of Christianity, that there's a lot of wisdom.
That wasn't my
And
question.
I've been very, very profoundly
What?
moved and influenced by that wisdom.
But are you a Hindu or not?
My friend, I've just given you my answer.
No.
That I'm
No, you haven't.
open-minded.
All you did was you
I'm
listened to X, Y, and Z.
he doesn't
I just
accept
asked you,
truth.
are you a Hindu?
That's
I
not-
opened my. I said.
But are you a Hindu or you're not?
I said.
See, you want to answer the question.
You want to put
because
people
if you
into
ask,
tribes.
no, I didn't.
You want to put people into tribes.
It's not a
Let's
tribe.
conclude.
Hinduism is not a
Let
tribe.
me tell you something.
I
You know,
believe the
got
only
this-
tribe.
I got this status.
I believe
You are a
the
neo
only
Hindu.
tribe.
Let me tell
You choose. You pick
I-
and choose
I
based on your
believe
whims
the
and
only
desires.
tribe is humanity.
in Tamil
Okay,
Nadu,
that's the
there was
reason.
Humanity is the tribe.
You
Let me-
pick and
just
choose
one minute.
what your whims and
Let me-
desires agree with.
I do
Yes.
pick
Let me
and
explain
choose.
you.
So you're not a new. You're a new Hindu,
Tamil
maybe.
Nadu, there was-
I do pick and choose.
Tamil Nadu,
from
there
all, including Islam,
in Tamil
the
Nadu-
best ideas from
So
Islam.
after reading
In
all this,
Tamil Nadu-
who do you think is God? You have read all the scriptures. So according to you,
He himself
because
is a God.
I don't know. Do you actually believe there is a God or you don't?
Okay, so the problem is you have to define what you mean by God because everyone has a different definition.
What's your definition?
You want me to define God?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
We want to see where you actually stand.
Okay, there's a universe
There's a man
around
who
us.
stands for no one.
Okay, there's a universe that's all around us, yes?
Yeah.
And this universe exists.
Yeah.
I know I exist because I can feel things, see things, I know I exist. I see the universe all around me, so I believe, yeah, it probably exists. This is all real people in front of me.
Okay, go
Very
on.
good people.
Good.
But then there's a big problem. Where does this existence come from? Why do I wake up in the morning? Life is a struggle. You know, life is a struggle to work, to strive, to live, to survive. Why do I go through all this effort? What's the purpose of it all? Who created me and why did they create me? And that also is linked to why was this universe all around us created? Is there a creator of this universe? Did the universe create itself?
Are you answering or asking?
I'm trying to do both.
No, but I asked you a simple
You have
question.
to ask
Can you
the
please?
question. You have to ask.
Can you please answer the question? Who is God according to you?
Okay.
Good.
So if we agree there's a universe that exists, then we have to know how did it get created?
Okay, go on.
Does it have a separate creator who created it? And do we call that creator God? And if that creator created the universe, that creator created all of you. And if it created all of you, then it will probably know why you should live, why you wake up up in the morning and you struggle to survive. You love your families. You love.
You're giving a lecture.
Well, that's why.
My
we're
friend,
here.
I didn't ask you the purpose of life. I asked you.
That's why we're here.
No, I asked you, who is God?
Why are we here?
All I asked you is, what is God according to you? Can you please answer
So
that
what
question?
I'm trying to say is,
Yes, you're giving a thesis on why the purpose of your life.
there has to be a creator that created
Okay, so
us.
do you believe in God?
And that-
Yes or no?
Let me get.
Yeah, please get there quickly because you're giving a lecture. You're giving a lecture. Do you like the sound of your voice?
My friend.
Do you like the sound
Do
of
you
your
like
voice?
the sound
don't
of
you?
your voice?
I like to answer based on the question I'm asked.
You see, you're
Do you like to do
You're
that?
insulting me when I'm trying to speak.
How am I insulting you? All I said is, when somebody asks you a question,
You say-
give an answer to that.
When I
Don't
speak,
go
you
about
say,
beating
do you
the.
like the sound of your voice.
You
all
do
this kind of
because
stuff.
I asked you several times a simple question and you're beating it on the bush, not
I'm
answering the
not.
question.
I'm directly answering your question.
Are you?
By
Are
defining
you?
the question.
Also, wait.
You start with a.
So now you're saying my question is not well defined when I ask you, who is God according to you?
And I'm answering that.
Which part?
Because
Which part are you answering?
You have to define the question.
Which part have you not got?
If you talk in terms of God, we have to define what God
Okay,
is.
so that's what I asked
That's
you.
what I was
The
trying
term
to do.
God, the term
When I
God.
tried to do that, you kept interrupting, my
Okay,
friend.
so far you have
Then you
said
started insulting me.
who created the universe? The universe exists. What is our purpose here? What has it got to do with who is God?
That is the central question, what the purpose is. That's why
If
everybody
you can't
here.
answer, just say
Why are
so.
all these people here? Because they want to know what the purpose is.
Okay.
Do you have the answer?
No, the question is to you. Have you? If you don't have the answer, tell me and I'll answer you.
Just what's the purpose?
Just tell me, what is God according to you? Once
We
again.
want to know what the purpose of life is. And God is the thing connected with answering that question. When we go to a
Did I
religion,
ask you the purpose
when
of
we-
your existence?
When
No, I
we,
did
when
not
we
ask
go
that.
to a religion,
Yeah.
and it could be Hinduism, the Vedas, it could be the Quran, Islam, Muhammad, and Allah, it could be Jesus and God,
Yeah.
it could be Moses and Yahweh,
Yeah. So you're not certain.
or it could be the Buddha.
So you're not certain.
Or it could be the Buddha.
So you're not certain.
When we go to those religions,
Yeah.
we're not going there because we're saying, who is God? Let me do what he says, I'm his slave.
Why not?
That's
You
not
could
what,
be.
That's not what we're
You
doing.
could be.
That's not what we're
How do
really
you know?
doing.
How do you know?
That's not
How
what
do you
we're
know?
really doing.
Because if
What we're really doing
Is
is
what?
we're saying, every day my life is a struggle. I wake up in the morning to stay alive, the work I do, the relationships I have to maintain. Why do I do all of this?
You see-
that's the reason why we want to know what is God? What created me?
Okay, so have you got
Why
the
should-
answer?
Why should I continue?
have
to
you
do
got the
what I
answer?
do?
This is like the fourth time. Have you got the answer after
understood. What was the answer?
after you started seeking all these directions? So far, have you got the answer who is God or not?
I'm trying to answer
Try
your
this.
question.
This is like
Trying
the
to
fourth
answer your
time.
question.
Fourth time you're trying.
You're repeating it to take.
Exactly,
when
I'm
you answer a
repeating
question-
because you haven't
when you
answered yet.
answer a question, if you ask me, can you explain to me what gravity is? And I try to explain to you step by step. Here's time, here's a ruler, here's an apple, the apple falls, hits the ground, and step by step I explain what gravity is.
Yes.
And you keep interrupting me every time I say there's a ruler and there's a
No, you said you saw all these different religions.
If you keep interrupting
No.
me, you'll never
By the
know
way,
what gravity
have
is.
you realized you interrupted me within the first minute, and then you get offended when I interrupt you when you're not answering the question I asked you. Several times I asked you now. You wait. The reason you're smiling now is because you know that you haven't answered the question.
The
You're
reason
beating
I'm
it on the bush.
smiling is you keep saying answer the question,
You want to.
and you won't
know
let
what he
me
wants to do?
answer the question.
He wants to please everyone, so that he doesn't get put on the spot. Now he has been put on the spot
What's
to
wrong with
answer.
pleasing everyone?
Because you cannot.
Surely.
That is foolish.
What, the truth doesn't please everyone?
No.
Accepting like
If, I,
When you-
if everyone here, if everyone here knew what causes gravity,
If you try to
everyone
please
here knew
everyone,
what causes gravity,
if you
would
try-
that not please
No,
everyone here?
Gravity is different to
If
God.
everyone here knew what the purpose of life is, would that not please everyone?
Okay, shall I answer that without
Everyone
interrupting?
here knew the truth, would that not please
I
everyone?
told you, you think that everything that
The
you.
purpose of life is to try to please as many people as you can, not to upset them.
So you will have to lie then, in order to do that, because you know there are many people who will not agree with everything that you say. So in order to please them, you'll have to lie
How
to
many
them.
people here disagree with 2 + 2 = 4?
What's that got to do?
Put
with
your hand up if you disagree.
What's that?
With 2
That is got to do with
+ 4.
logic. Nobody says
Okay.
logic is
I've proven
wrong.
that you're wrong on this point.
No. I said if you're proving.
Everybody
No.
agrees.
When you try to talk about
Everybody
religion,
agrees.
wait. When you talk about
Everybody
religion,
agrees
what
on
you have done now? You have gone from religion to maths. Two different
They're not
fields.
2 different things. They're not 2
Are
different
they?
things. They're
Okay,
not.
so what in mathematics? What is God?
In terms of mathematics.
That's what's that.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay, let's talk in terms of mathematics.
Yes, go on.
What is
Make sure you involve God in that.
creator? Do we agree that God is the creator?
Of course.
Yes.
And in order to create anything, you have to start with something.
Something.
Like what?
Yeah? You have to
thing?
start with something.
What thing?
In order to create anything, you have to start with something. Do
What
we
thing?
agree with that?
Why not ex nihilo?
So what do we start
Why
with?
not ex nihilo?
Okay, let's take zero.
Yes.
Let's say I want to create a proton and an electron. A proton has positive charge, it's a plus. An electron has
No answer
negative
again.
charge.
I asked where is the God in the
Minus
maths. He
one.
goes into a different tangent.
No, maths.
That's what he does. He evades the
talked
question.
about maths.
He evades the
You
question.
asked about maths.
I said God in
and
maths.
God. I am talking about God.
God in maths.
So let's talk about the creator.
Yes.
What create? Yes.
The material
What-
world. He's talking about the material.
Yeah. But in terms of maths.
Yeah, but God doesn't need material to
so
create.
we're talking about the creator. What created the universe?
Yes,
We
that's
define
what
God
we
as the
want to know.
creator.
That's exactly what we want
We
to know.
define God as the creator of the universe.
Do you agree with that, by the way?
God is the creator of the universe.
Okay, so
that's definitely
when you
one
say-
of the definitions.
Okay.
Yes.
When he said God is
So
the
let's look
creator,
at that.
no,
Let's focus on it.
When he said God is the creator of the universe, you're assuming God exists.
That's one of the definitions. Let's focus on that
No,
one
not
right
less.
now.
Do you agree God exists?
on.
Do you agree God exists?
We're trying to show if it's possible.
Oh,
After that-
so it is still if it's possible that God exists.
Okay. So
Have you realized that? It's
we
a
got
bit.
we got a
you've got to read
negative, we got a -1, and we got a positive, a +1. Now, how do we create them out of nothing? If we start with a 0 and we split the 0 into two numbers, and those two numbers.
You can't split 0 in maths.
Let me finish.
You
Let
can
me
never
finish.
split 0 in
Let
maths.
me finish. Let me finish.
I don't know which maths he's
Let me
learning.
finish. Let me finish.
Nice try.
Let me
0 into two numbers. Have you realized that?
Let me
You
finish.
cannot in
Let me
mathematics
finish.
split 0 into anything.
Finish, my friend. Let me
0 is
finish.
nothing.
Let me finish, my
Go on.
friend.
You know how it feels now
Let
when
me
you don't let me finish.
Let me finish.
Good.
You take your 0
Yeah.
and you split your 0.
You can't split a 0.
Let me finish.
You cannot
Let me
split a
finish.
0.
Let me finish.
Remember, you know when you try to divide a 0, that's what it means.
No.
You get an error.
No.
When you try to divide a 0, he doesn't know
Talking
maths, this
about
guy.
dividing by 0.
You can't divide 0 because it
I'm
doesn't
talking
exist.
about you split your 0.
You can't divide a 0.
Let me finish.
Splitting means
Why are you
divide.
interrupting? Why are you-
Because your maths is wrong.
You won't let the answer be heard.
You never answer anything.
The
You go
answer
about
is
beating it on the
you
bush.
split your 0
Yes.
into +1 and -1.
You cannot split it into
Because
You
plus
can never
one-
split a 0 into
because
+1 and -1. You
+1
cannot.
-1 equals 0.
You cannot split a 0.
+1 -1 equals 0. Yes or no?
No, but you cannot split a 0. Do you? Yes or no?
It's international.
Yes or no?
Yes or no? You cannot split a 0.
+1 plus
You
one.
wouldn't answer my question.
You talked about how do
Okay,
you
so
get
it's got
God
nothing
from
with God.
maths?
Have you
How
realized
do you
that?
get God
So
from
once
maths? I've
again,
just
he said
proven
nothing about
how
God.
you get God from
Okay,
maths.
and by the way, he said
Get from God from
earlier,
maths.
this guy, you know the discussion.
I think
wait,
you
wait,
do.
wait.
You
The
can split
discussion.
0. You can split 0. Look.
+1. +1.
You can split
-1.
Oh, look what we got.
+1.
Error.
+1 -1.
That's what I told
equals
him.
0. No.
You know why? You know why he's talking?
Error.
Let me do a
You said
calculation.
divide 0 by 0.
No, I didn't say
Yes,
that.
you
He
said
said
split
that.
0.
Look,
You said split 0.
Look. +1
He didn't say that.
+1
One was never there.
+1 minus
But there is no
1
one.
equals
There is
0.
no one there. There is no
So
one.
I'm right.
You got 0.
No error.
You said
Wait,
split
there
the
is
0.
no error.
We got
Okay.
0.
No error.
Did you say split the 0?
No error.
Did you say split the
I
0?
said split 0.
Exactly.
Into +1.
Try splitting the 0.
+1 and -1.
Okay. If you split 0.
I didn't say
wait, wait.
divide it. I said split
No, you
it.
said when you split it, you don't get +1.
Split 0.
When you split
into
0, you don't
+1
get +1.
and
No, you
-1.
don't get it. Okay,
fact
so where
is-
is God still?
the
I
fact
still don't
is-
see the God. Where's the God?
Who is God? You said, how do you get God from
Okay.
maths?
You know earlier,
I said,
because he's not listening to us, I'm going to listen to
said
you.
you
You know
split
earlier,
0
he said
into +1
that
-1.
the caste system
That
is,
gives you your
you know where he was lying about the
Positive
Vanna?
proton
The
and
Vanna in the
negative
Hinduism
electron.
is called Jati. He did not want to indulge in that, and you open his chart. It says, wait,
You don't want to debate.
No, I don't want to, because you
you've
don't
lost the
listen.
debate.
You don't listen
You are
to it.
dishonest.
You lost the debate.
Now, the reason I'm not
You
talking
lost
to
the
him is
debate.
because he does not answer any questions.
You've lost
The reason he didn't want to indulge in the Upanishads is this.
I did
It
answer.
says in Chandagya Upanishad, number 5 times 7. It says, now people, now listen to me, I'll listen to you. Now people here whose behavior is pleasant can expect to enter pleasant womb, like the Brahmin, the Kshatriya, or the Vaishya caste. But people of foul behavior cannot expect to enter enter only a foul womb, like the dog or a pig or the untouchable caste Chandana. So the caste system is called the Jati, which he tried to say is actually the Varanas. No, they are not based on the occupation. In their Upanishads with the scripture, long before the English came, long before the Muslims came, this particular book was already there. The reason he wanted to throw it under the bus is because it doesn't agree with his own narration. You know why this guy talks a lot? Because he doesn't want to answer the question.
I asked him. The subject.
No, it was about caste system. It was about caste system.
Changing the subject. You're changing the subject.
I did not change the subject.
Changing the subject now.
2021, 15 people, 15
out of 1.6 billion.
In Tamil Nadu, just 15 in Tamil
15
Nadu.
people out of what? 100 million?
Then in Andhra Pradesh.
You have female infanticide in all countries in the world.
Rajasthan is 7. You know, Madhya Pradesh is 6. It's all
6
together.
people. 6 people out of 120 million.
Even one child is like a, you know, is a human.
120 million.
About? If they kill one child, you know, one infant is for you. It's nothing.
My friend, you said the millions of people.
Untouchable. There is a caste system.
You said there were millions of people experiencing infanticide, and you're talking about 6 people. 6 people out of 120 million in Andhra Pradesh. Tamil Nadu is 50 million. Tamil Nadu is 50 million people.
You refuse to debate with the person.
So the fact is,
he doesn't answer the
what
question.
you're talking about by your own figures is extremely rare.
Maybe he doesn't. How many people died in COVID in India? Guess. Just give a rough guess.
The overall rate of mortality in 2020.
You never answer the question.
I am answering.
No, you're not. You're not. You're talking about
the overall rate of mortality.
In India, millions died during the COVID. Millions during the COVID. You know what? Wait.
The population of the country.
Read this.
How many died in Britain of COVID-19?
It says here, caste kills more in India than coronavirus.
Imagine.
Okay, so it's not 6. It's not 6. It's millions.
How can a caste kill someone?
Caste system.
How can a caste system kill someone?
Because the caste they discriminate.
That's a job.
No, it's according to you. That's a lie. No, it's not a job. No. The reason they kill the untouchables. Why does a job has to discriminate based on touching them? Why do they become untouchables if it's just a job?
Okay.
You know what he said?
Okay,
he said because they were metal, they're working in metal, they become untouchable.
Okay.
Look at the absurdity of this man. He lives under a rock. If he thinks he's going to deny what happens in India, the caste system kills more than coronavirus. This is a Deccan Chronicle.
So you've got some random website.
Deccan Chronicle is not random.
What website is that?
Deccan Chronicle.
It's a news
website.
So you got one random website.
How many do you need?
Okay.
How many do you need?
Okay, what caused COVID-19?
Oh, go. Changing the topic. Changing the topic. That's what you call changing the topic.
You know,
COVID-19 was created in a lab. COVID-19 was created in a lab.
Just take paracetamol and
COVID-19.
You know, now that is not the argument.
Was created in a lab.
Okay. Do you believe it? Do you believe Reuters
was COVID-19?
Wait. Is Reuters?
No, not on COVID-19. I don't believe a word Reuters say.
No, I'm not saying about COVID-19. I'm not talking about COVID-19.
COVID-19 was total propaganda, by the way.
Who's talking about? He's changing the topic.
Nobody believes in COVID-19 today.
Is any newspaper?
This is the worst possible source you can have.
Okay. Is any newspaper?
COVID-19 was a hoax.
Is any newspaper, according to you, credible?
And he believes the hoax of COVID-19.
I didn't talk about COVID-19. I said it killed more people.
You believe the other hoax, like Sati.
Is that
the caste system?
Actually, Sati.
Those are hoaxes too.
No. Sati was real. It wasn't hoax.
He quotes the COVID-19 hoax.
No, I compared it with COVID. I didn't tell you.
COVID-19 admitted fact. Every organization in the world created in a lab.
Okay.
Biological weapon created in a lab.
Don't change the topic because you lost.
It's a hoax.
Is there any newspaper you believe in?
Define to me what a hoax is.
Is there any newspaper you believe in?
Define to me what a hoax is.
You are one hoax. Like you.
Okay. Are the moon landings real?
Oh, here you go. This guy is a conspirator. Okay. He believes in conspiracy theories.
Okay, tell me now they really went to the moon.
Since you don't answer any question, let me ask you.
NASA go to the moon?
According to him, no newspaper
so there are no
is
hoaxes.
So Reuters is not a credible newspaper.
Did Reuters say we went to the moon?
By the way, stop touching me.
Did Reuters say we went to the moon?
I don't want to talk to you because you don't answer any questions.
Okay. So you've got a hoax.
know why? You know why he doesn't answer any question? Because he doesn't actually believe anything that is real. Like for example, the caste
So the
system in
moon
India
landings are real.
is pretty real. He doesn't believe it.
COVID-19 is real.
He doesn't believe. I told you I'm not talking to
COVID-19
you.
real?
Which part you didn't get? Okay, so he says in
Quoting hoaxes.
none of the newspapers
Published
according to him
hoaxes
is
on the
real.
internet.
In India, the more cost.
Nobody
because
believes
of
that
cost,
we went to the moon.
Because of
and
cost,
nobody
even if they touch,
believes COVID-19
even if they touch the
wasn't
God's
created in a
idol,
lab.
the lower caste they get killed. This is the caste system.
So what are you saying about the caste system?
I'm saying the caste system is pretty real in India. There are people who die because of the caste system.
How?
The reason the
How?
reason the Constitution has a special clause for protection of the scheduled caste is because of this.
caste, yeah.
Because of this reason that the Hindus used to discriminate them based on which family they were born in, and that is the reason I just read in Upanishads, which he just pushed under the bus.
Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, I do disagree with that.
See what I mean? Based on his whims and desires.
What I disagreed with.
Is Rishi
What,
Sunak
this is, let,
Bhutan
no,
Prime
no,
Minister
stop
or not?
interrupting,
Do
stop
you agree or do you
interrupting,
disagree?
Stop interrupting.
Rishi
Well, I
Sunak is
tried
the
to
Prime Minister
explain-
or not?
Look,
Because you
stop,
don't listen
stop.
to brother.
He doesn't listen to any
You're beating
logic.
around the bush.
You
You
want,
don't
you
want to
wanted
we're not interested in listening to
the answer
We're
I
not
gave
interested, you know.
was this:
What?
that in these so-called untouchable castes, you had some of the poorest people in India, and India used to be the richest country in the world. And the reason why,
Thanks to the Mughals.
by 1947, it was the poorest country in the world. It was.
Yeah, after
is
the British took
because
over.
the Industrial Revolution meant many of the manufactured tradesmen in India lost their jobs because of industrialization. And those people are your so-called untouchable people.
No.
Those
Hold
are the
on.
people
The reason
who
the
became-
industries were destroyed was
those are the
because of the
people-
colonialists.
those are the people
East
who
India,
became-
the East India Company,
Those
they
are the
colonized
people-
this trade. What they
Yes,
used to do, they
they
used
did.
to fill the market
Yes.
with the products that came from Britain.
Yes,
and
that's
they
true.
used to take the cotton from India, take it to Britain, and then sell it back to the Indians. That is the
That's
reason.
true.
It's got nothing to do with the
And
caste
Mahatma
system.
Gandhi
That
was
is a lie.
opposed to that.
He's agreeing with that.
I agree with that.
So what is got to do with caste system?
So you've just,
what is that
you've
got to
just
do with
told
caste
me
system?
my answer.
What?
The answer I gave was that the manufactured tradesmen of India were banned from doing their jobs.
But what's
They
that got to do
became-
with caste system?
They became extremely poor.
he's asking
So
what's
your so-called,
It's got
your
nothing to do with
so-called-
the untouchables.
your so-called unemployed people in India who were extremely poor were all these hundreds of millions of people
That was the
who
cause.
couldn't do their vocations.
That's because of the colonial.
So
It's
he
got
said
nothing.
that was the
because
no.
of colonialism.
The caste
Because of
system.
the East India
Hold
Company.
on. The caste system existed
You're
long
blaming
before.
the wrong
See,
culprit.
let me get a word in. What kind of a person are you? Wait, you want to talk? No, you're not.
You are talking.
You will not let anyone
non-stop.
talk, and that's the reason I will
You are
talk to you.
talking non-stop.
No, you are the one talking
You're
non-stop. Go and
talking
watch the video.
non-stop.
This is on DawahWise
You are
and the other
talking
channels.
non-stop.
Okay.
It's been there for ages,
Now,
you know.
you see the caste system. The caste system.
existed before.
Yeah. The Upanishads.
It's been
The
ages.
Upanishads existed
been
long
ages,
before the Brits
Alright, so
and the
He's
Mughals came.
talking the Upanishads that I've done, certainly the ones I've listened to.
And that's-
Don't mention
I give you
any
the reference.
caste.
I give you the
The
reference.
Upanishads I've
See,
listened
again,
to.
he won't let me talk.
The Upanishads
And that is
I've
the reason I
listened
don't talk to him, because he won't
They
let anyone
only
talk.
mention Varnas.
What about
And the book he's
The-
talking about
You know the-
is the laws of Manu.
Exactly.
That's the one he's talking
No,
about.
I talk about the Upanishads as
the
well.
one. No, you didn't.
Don't lie, I did
ones, the
several times.
Upanishads
It's
that
on
I-
the camera. So cameras don't lie like you.
You quoted the laws of Manu.
No, I didn't even quote the laws of Manu. I kept
did.
on about the Upanishads, and you pushed it under the bus. Remember initially?
No,
You didn't know the difference between Shruti and Smriti.
You
Is
quoted.
there evidence the caste system
Existed before. Yes, there is.
Was it discriminatory?
It was very
No, there's a
discriminatory.
big dispute about that.
Where? No.
Big
Oh,
dispute.
now there's a dispute.
There is-
Earlier you said it's only the Varna. It is only based on the career.
He said,
now he's
was
made a
it
U-turn.
discriminatory?
Historians say
The historians
sleeping
basically,
there, according to him,
basically state prior to the collapse of the trades, the manufacturing trades in India,
No, that came
it was
later
the
on.
richest country in the world.
Yeah, that
It
was during the
became
Mughal
poor.
era.
So if these
That was during the
people,
Mughal era.
if these people are so discriminated against, why are they the richest people on the planet?
Because of the Mughal system.
It's been.
Okay, look here, brother.
Why are they the richest people on the
Can
planet?
you let
if they're
anybody
being
else have a word in
discriminated against?
between?
let him-
Stop. Okay, you said
You're
it's-
wrong.
No, before
I've
I even
proven you
get it. No, you haven't.
agreed with me
No,
that
no,
the
no,
richest
no.
people on the planet. So how can they be the richest people on the planet if they're being discriminated against?
disagree.
You're wrong.
No,
my
no,
friend.
we'll not agree. The richest people.
You're
India
confusing
became the richest
propaganda
country
with truth.
during the Mughal era, not during the caste system which existed long before the Mughal era as well. The Upanishad.
India was the richest country in the world for about 5,000 years.
Oh, really? When was the last time you got that statistic? Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence for that?
According to Roman historians, India was the
Which
richest
historian?
countries in the world.
Which historian? Talk.
I will
I will what? You lost. You know why? You know why he makes up things when he loses?
So under
He won't let anyone talk, and he makes up things.
Pliny the Elder is one of the historians that references India as being one of the richest countries in
And
the
when did
world.
Pliny exist? When did Pliny exist?
Pliny the Elder was around around the time of Pompeii, when Pompeii collapsed.
Yeah, which year? Which year?
So if you look up Pompeii, the
No, no.
Vesuvius.
Was it 5,000 years?
under Mughal rule.
Was it
about
5,000 years?
2,000 years.
Oh, now, so now Pliny is 2,000 years. His argument
Pliny
was
is
5,000
one
years.
of the sources.
So it wasn't 5,000 years. So you lied
It
again.
is 5,000
You got caught on
years.
camera again.
I said for 5,000 years.
But
it
where's
was
the
one of
evidence for
richest countries in
5,000
the
years?
world.
Where's the evidence?
The Harappan civilization, my friend. Don't you know any
The
history?
Harappans were not Hindu. They were not Hindu.
Yes, they were.
They were Aryan. They were not Hindu. What kind of a person are you?
Why is Shiva in the Harappan civilization the single biggest figure found that's dug up from the ground?
Where's the evidence for that?
Shiva.
Where's the evidence
Go
for
to a
that?
museum in Pakistan.
No,
you'll
you should
see.
show me the evidence.
Go to some museums in Pakistan.
Have you
will see
been?
it.
Have you been there?
I've read books on it.
Okay,
I've seen
so tell
photographs.
me, which year was the Shiva statue found?
The Shiva statues are found dated from between 2,500 BC.
Where is
going
this?
right the way
Where
up.
is this evidence?
Going right in
Where is the
museums
evidence?
in Pakistan. You have
Which
this
museum? Give me a name.
Mohenjo-daro, the museum on Mohenjo-daro. There's a museum on Harappa.
This guy is a charlatan. You know why? Because Mohenjo-daro is not a Hindu place. Neither was the Harappan. You
Why
lied.
is Shiva there? Why is Shiva
There is
there?
no Shiva there. You
There
made
is
it up.
Shiva there.
Evidence. Prove
There
it.
is Shiva
So
there.
bring evidence.
There are large numbers
You
of
are just
statues
making
of
up
Shiva
things. You're a charlatan.
that are dug up in
You're
these
making.
locations.
You're just lying. You know, look. I don't want to embarrass you in front of the camera, but I'm telling in your face that you just lied.
All the people here can fact check what I'm saying. You said
Don't try
that
to shift.
it wasn't
Don't
for
try to shift.
5,000 years.
Don't try to
one
shift.
of the richest countries in the world. I've proven it.
No Shiva
I've
statue.
proven it. Was.
No, you haven't.
I provided sources.
No, you didn't.
So please
You just said a
accept that you were
name.
wrong.
You just said name.
Please accept that you are
Please
wrong.
accept there's no.
If
There's no
caste
Shiva statue in the
caste
Harappan.
system discriminated against them, why were they the richest people in the world?
Who said they're richest?
By the
Why were they
way,
the
you know,
richest
in the
people?
Harappan, they did not
You
find
got
a
it
Shiva
wrong, my
statue.
friend.
Wait.
Admit when you're
In the
wrong.
Harappan, they did not find.
I
Brother,
make mistakes too.
They did not.
When you
They
get
did
it
not
wrong,
find a
admit
Shiva
that you were
statue.
wrong.
They found a dancing girl.
swallowed propaganda.
Not Shiva. He's
You
lying.
swallowed
This
propaganda.
guy is a charlatan. He's trying to
Respect
stack
that your
back.
ancestors
So
worshipped
you-
Shiva.
My ancestors. How do you know that?
If you have a connection with Pakistan, your
but I don't.
ancestors worshipped
But I
Shiva.
don't. So you're lying.
And that's why
Once
you're a
again,
great person.
the reason he said Shiva because he has no evidence. All he's saying
Go
is
to some museums in Pakistan, you'll see
the onus is on you.
I'm not talking
The
about-
onus is on you. Provide evidence.
We are talking about.
By the way, do you know?
Who's rich or not rich, you know?
He's making up things.
We are talking
The
about.
Harappan, the Harappan has got nothing to do with Hindus. The Mohenjo-daro has got nothing to do with Hindus. They are the Aryan. These were Aryans who had their own religion. They found a dancing girl there.
These
It's
are
got
just
nothing to do.
Aryan is
It's
just
got
a word
nothing.
for Indo-European.
No. Exactly. So
All
it's good. But not
Pakistanis are
Hindu.
Indo-European.
But not Hindu.
All Pakistanis are Indo-European.
But you said Shiva. It's got nothing to do with Hindu.
Shiva was the god that was dug up in Harappa.
Is
and
Shiva
Mohenjo-daro.
Indo-European? Is Shiva Indo-European? No, it's not.
It's a god.
So where's the evidence for that God?
The god is physically dug up as a statue.
Bro, you're just making up things. Please stop embarrassing yourself because all you did was just.
My friend, I've read books on the topic.
Yeah, but you don't know who God is.
Do you have an open mind?
I do.
No.
Okay.
No,
I'm
it's
glad
not about.
to
It's
Okay.
not about.
Do you?
Glad to.
By the way, do you think the Hindu God? Do you think the Hindu God?
The topic, you know.
Habibi, wait. Do you think the Hindu God, Christian God, and the Muslim God they have the same attributes?
I believe that all of those religions have great wisdom we should respect.
See, once again, you don't answer the question. Do they have the same attributes?
All of the religions say contradictory
Why do you
things.
never answer the question?
All of those
What's
religions,
the problem?
all of those religions say contradictory things.
Okay, so if they have contradicted things, that means their understanding of God is contradictory to each other as well.
But they agree in many things as well.
Yeah, I didn't say there was no similarities because all religions.
respect
No,
them all.
all religions talk about morality. But I gave you my question to you from the very beginning was about God. You still haven't answered the question.
I agree.
Even
with
into
you.
maths.
I agree
even,
with you.
Which
that
part?
Islam is a great religion.
No, don't try to
And
just
also,
say
I agree
Islam
with
is
you.
a great religion.
I do agree with that.
I asked you
And
about
I
God.
agree that Muhammad is to be respected. He's a
look,
holy prophet.
I think
he should be
generally,
respected.
look, generally,
And he should be
I
respected.
think you're.
Do you believe he's a prophet?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
No, but look, you seem like a nice person, but one thing.
My father has donated to a Sufi shrine, by the way.
Your father might have committed shirk if he did that. Okay.
My father donated.
Because-
we fund. My father for generations of my family have financed the Sufi shrine.
Okay, if I ask you about the Sufi shrine, that would be the answer.
Generations
But my
my
question was
family.
about God.
Why you are
Let
not
me.
accepting truth then? You know, like the basic infanticide, female infanticide.
So you might be a good person. You want to
Problem,
spread
you know.
peace and harmony, but you see, you can never try to reconcile all religions under one umbrella.
I agree with you.
Okay,
You can't.
you heard about Deen Ilahi? Did you hear about Deen Ilahi?
Go back to the
So Akbar, Akbar tried to do that.
By the way,
Akbar tried to unite all the religions,
discrimination is
and his
wrong.
religion was a failure. It's called Deen
Discrimination.
Ilahi.
Okay, he's saying
Discrimination is wrong.
So caste
It's
system is
unjust.
just
It's
unjust.
unjust.
I agree.
So-
But people specializing in jobs that they're good at, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but that's your misunderstanding. You think Jati is only Varna. It's not. There's a Kshatriya
I agree
Jati.
with you that discrimination is wrong.
So there is
That's
this.
why
You
I
agree. Good.
I
Alhamdulillah.
agree with
Finally
the Indian
agrees.
Constitution.
You agree, mashallah.
I agree.
Finally
I
agrees,
agree
yeah.
with the Indian
Because earlier it says it's
Constitution
only one now.
that says you
But
must
slowly,
not
slowly,
discriminate.
you will-
You must not discriminate.
Okay, so if anything in the Hindu scriptures which discriminates based on the birth,
I agree
would
that
you
that's wrong.
would you
I
disagree
agree
with that?
that's
Good.
wrong, yes.
Now you see the difference.
you
The
understand.
difference between. By the way,
wrong as well.
I agree that in female
Even if
infanticide.
it's one girl,
you know, it used to.
The discussion forward. He agrees now.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, finally agrees. But the thing is, look, when we talk about caste system, which is still much
talking about
prevalent
Indian politics?
in India, no, we don't want to go into politics. That's another kettle of fish. So what we are saying is that there are discrimination, like you said, is wrong for anyone, and especially based on the birth, based on the family in which they're born. And this is the crux of the caste system, which they call the Jati and not Varna. So there's a Kshatriya Jati, there is the Brahmin Jati, and the Brahmins have always taken the upper position, and they have discriminated everyone under them, especially the Shudras, especially the Dalits, especially the untouchable called the Chandals, and this is real in India. Okay, so you can't just brush it under the carpet.
Let me come back.
let me tell
Can I
you
come
one more,
back on
please.
this point?
Yeah, go on.
Can I say something?
I need to go
Why
for
they are
Maghrib.
Brahman? Why there is a caste system? I tell you, okay? Because the Aryans are tall people. Indo-European people were Aryans, okay? The European race.
You're tall
okay?
yourself.
They came all the way from India,
you Aryan?
Afghanistan to India, okay?
You must be Aryan.
They were Brahman. They called themselves Brahman because they were tall, white. Those the Dravidians, the original Indians. The small, the south side Indians are original inhabitants of India.
Lived in
okay?
poverty.
And they were all in. They were all
that's propaganda, my
untouchable and
friend.
all
No, it's not. That's
scheduled caste
Propaganda,
or
my
something
friend.
like that. It
My
is
friend,
reality.
it's propaganda.
Some people
Because you're
in India-
defaming your own ancestors.
It's reality.
I honor my ancestors. I would never insult them. The point that I'm trying to make is this: that I believe that our ancestors were very wise people, and they built a great country that was for 5,000 years the richest country in the world, till the East India Company came along and destroyed it, and they pitted everyone against everyone else, and they said, you people are only Hindus, and everyone else is your
done that in
enemy.
Africa as well.
You people are only Muslims, everyone else
So
is
you-
your enemy.
you see,
and you people are Christians, everyone else is your enemy.
Sorry.
And we mustn't think like that. We are brothers and sisters.
And then Rwanda.
Including the British. By the way, I believe the British should never have left India.
What?
They made a big contribution. They shouldn't have left.
You wanted
At the end of
you
partition.
wanted to be a slave to the
No,
Brits.
no.
Seriously?
I believe that they made a great contribution, but they should have lived as equals. They should have lived as equals with us, with no discrimination. So the point I'm trying to make is, going back.
No, but the thing is, look, the Hindus themselves do not consider equality within the society, and Mahabharata is one.
Can I answer this point?
But you
both of you
no,
make points.
but
Can I
hold on.
respond?
The important point, which you actually, one thing you kept saying is propaganda when it's actually in the Hindu manuscripts themselves, in the Hindu scriptures. Do you take that back?
In the Bhagavad Gita that I read from the Upanishads, it says everybody's equal and to be loved as your equal.
I gave you
and there are no castes.
The book says
in the Bhagavad Gita, and the Bhagavad Gita says there's no castes.
Okay, so he's got a different version of that.
Yeah, that's why I said there's contradictory things
like
in
he
the
said,
Vedas.
the Upanishads are not a small
from
book.
the very beginning,
He only
the very
focused
first
on the
thing I said
Bhagavad
to him
Gita.
today is
The
there's
Bhagavad Gita
contradictory
is only a
things.
part, is a fraction. No, hold on. The Bhagavad Gita, what he's doing is he's actually saying the Bhagavad Gita is the one he read. The Upanishads is
And some of the Upanishads, which
Can't
were
you let
amazing.
anyone talk without interrupting?
Look,
Stop doing it.
Both of you
No,
spoke.
hold on.
You're not
Let me
letting
finish.
respond.
I think you
I
responded
want to
enough.
respond to
So
both
let
of
me
your
tell you that
points.
the Upanishads and the Mahabharata are serious books taken seriously by the Hindus. They don't just chuck it under the bus because it goes against them.
He agrees with you.
Okay? And no, he doesn't actually. When I read the Upanishads and I gave it to him, he said that this is something that is. Here's a reference. If you want, check it out. It's called Chandogya Upanishads 5.10.7. So 5/10/7.
what's your comment?
Okay. Now he says over there.
Okay,
Now
I will
people.
research it. I will
Yeah, sure,
research
no
it.
problem.
Okay.
Research.
I will
Take a picture of
photograph.
that.
Yeah.
And I'll give you Mahabharata as well.
Okay.
Actually, it's just below that.
Mahabharata is not. It's just regarded as a story.
Well,
it's not regarded as.
That is a story of Krishna. So don't just chuck it under the bus. Krishna to the Hindus.
But it is a story.
Everything in the
It's a romantic story.
But everything in the Hindu
Epic.
scriptures are stories. The Upanishads, the Mahabharatas, the what do you say? All the scriptures they have, the Puranas.
Yeah,
all
but
these are
when
stories.
something is presented to me as a story, it's not represented to me as an injunction. You must do this. It's the law. It's presented to me as a story.
No. If it is a Shruti, then it is the law. That's why I said go and study because you haven't studied this. I have. Shruti and Smriti are two different categories of the Hindu scriptures. If it's Shruti, it is law. If it is Smriti, then it can be changed. These are stories which come later on. And Manusmriti is from the stories, from the one which is considered Smriti. That's why it ends with Manusmriti. Yeah?
Yes.
And you know Dr. Ambedkar.
Yeah.
Who was Dr. Ambedkar?
Dr. Ambedkar was the guy who came up with the Constitution.
Absolutely. See, he's the one who penned the Constitution,
Yes.
and he tore up Manusmriti. He became from a Hindu
Can you
to a
let me
Buddhist.
speak?
And Dr.
you let me
Ambedkar
speak?
was a lower caste. He changed his religion from Hinduism
Can you-
to Buddhism. You know why? You know why he changed his religion? Because he realized that this caste system is so intertwined within Hinduism that he cannot get rid of it. He will forever, because he comes from the lower caste, he will forever be discriminated if he's a Hindu.
Can you let me answer?
You know, today thousands of people change their religion
Brahmin-
from Hinduism to either Muslim, to Christianity, to Buddhism because of the caste system. So don't tell me it's just Varna.
Okay.
Or
Getting
Korea.
back to your point about Brahmins, do you know what a Brahmin actually is? A Brahmin simply means, and it is a Varna term, not a caste term.
It is a caste term.
It's
called
no,
Brahmin
not.
Jati.
No,
Go
it's
and look
not.
it up. You
No,
don't
it's
know
not.
this.
No, it's
You
not.
don't know this.
No, it's not.
Make your point, please.
A Brahmin, it means literally the Varna of the teacher. It means literally it means a school teacher. And all school teachers were automatically Brahmins across the whole of India. And when you stop being a school teacher, you stop being a Brahmin.
That's
That
not
is
true.
a fact.
That is not true.
That is
Shall
a
I tell you?
fact.
Shall I tell you why that's
That
not
is a fact.
Okay,
That is a fact.
Can I respond to that?
And so this
now-
idea that Brahmins are discriminating against the other castes makes no sense.
You're wrong.
Because it's like saying
absolutely
the
wrong.
school teacher is discriminating against the students that is his job to go and teach.
Sorry,
It doesn't make any sense.
okay. Now can I?
And it makes no sense whatsoever.
Can I respond to that?
This is where you've got propaganda.
Now you just,
This is where you've got propaganda.
Can I respond to that?
Now you
Okay,
started-
brother, let me respond to that. Now let me respond without interrupting. He says the Brahmins are considered to be just teachers. Now listen to this.
School teachers,
There-
literally school
there-
teachers,
there is something-
is the meaning of a Brahmin.
There is something called the Brahmin Jati.
The first schools on
Will you
earth were
stop
established
interrupting?
in
Will you
India.
stop interrupting when I'm talking. I didn't interrupt
I
you.
barely get like one sentence.
I think you should go and watch video because you're the one talking the most
I
here.
doubt it. I doubt that.
Okay,
I
you will.
seriously doubt it. If we do a word count, I bet you he gets 2 words in for every one of mine.
That is completely false. He probably get 3 words for every one of mine. In the Mahabharata, in the Mahabharata number 1327.
Okay, come in here. He says.
Be on camera, but I'm just saying, I'm from a Hindu background.
Really?
And what you're saying,
Come here, don't worry. This camera's
I
right.
don't want to be.
Why are you scared of the camera? You already covered your face.
covered.
Why are you so insecure?
Okay.
Okay, what do you want to say?
Okay, anyway, because so Mahabharata number 1327, it says
Yes.
Even in this country, we have a hierarchy.
no, the hierarchy of untouchable is not a hierarchy. Don't
It
get me
is.
that. Untouchable.
What stops a
You
metal
see, you didn't let me
worker-
finish again.
Let me finish.
No, you didn't let me finish.
What stops
no,
a
let me
metal
finish.
worker? What stops a
Let
metal
me
worker
finish.
from moving to the next village and becoming a school teacher, which means he's a Brahmin?
It's got nothing to do with school
You don't
teacher.
have
That's
political
rubbish.
power based on these roles.
Brother, Brahmin is called a jati. Brahmin is, you can only become a Brahmin based on your lineage. Yeah. So if you read
That's not
Mahabharata,
true.
if you let me get a word in between,
A jati literally means group.
jati means group.
Yes.
Okay. So
From
what?
Sanskrit.
Wait.
From Sanskrit.
So why do they call-
jati is how it's pronounced,
Okay,
by
so-
the way. Means group.
Okay, how
That's
is
the literal meaning. It means group.
Okay, so a group of Brahmins.
And,
So what?
and jati basically means any group. So a regiment in an army is a jati.
No, that's not true.
A regiment in an army is a jati.
How was it practiced?
And in fact, in the Maratha army, the jatis were famous, which was the regimental system in the jati army.
So you are the Brahmin jati, you are the Kshatriya jati,
Yes.
and you are the. This is
It
what
means group.
So this is not based on a Varana class, not based on the career. Thank you. It's not based on that.
Jati from Sanskrit just means group.
Yeah. So what? A group of people who are called Brahmins.
Doesn't mean caste.
It's still, it is based on the birth.
It doesn't mean caste.
Okay.
How was it practiced?
Okay,
Caste is an English word.
Now the Mahabharata, which he doesn't let me quote, he keeps interrupting.
How was this practiced?
Bruh, listen to this.
Was it practiced by definition?
There was
says-
social mobility to go upwards and downwards. There was a
Based on the
social
birth.
hierarchy.
A group based
The
on the
belief
birth.
of the society was the people who were to be respected the most.
based on the
Let me
birth.
finish.
Was it based on bloodline?
Birth,
No,
yes.
no.
Yes.
He said
Yes.
No, it wasn't.
I can prove it to you from the Mahabharata, number 1327. It says, Yudhishthira asked questions about how persons from the 3 lower castes can attain the status as Brahmins. Bhishma answers them. He says, Brahmin status is unobtainable for these castes in the same birth. Only through innumerable births they can hope to be a
That
Brahmin.
means your
So
son and daughter can have a
that
higher
completely
caste.
refutes him.
That means your
This
son
guy
and
has been
daughter can
lying
have a
all
higher
along.
caste.
He's been lying all along.
According to your quote.
He said he's only
According to
teachers.
your quote.
That is a lie.
According to your quote, it means your son and daughter can be a Brahmin.
Yeah,
if you're untouchable.
Only if you're Brahmin.
Yeah, no. According to that quote, your son and daughter can be a Brahmin.
When?
If you're
When?
untouchable.
When?
Because through rebirth you can
Thank
change
you.
caste.
So not through the same birth. Rebirth means many rebirths.
No.
It says here.
Your son and daughter can do a different job.
And here is the rebirth.
That means the
Wait,
jobs
wait.
can change.
And now,
your son and daughter, exactly the point I made.
But
at
after the
beginning.
rebirths, after the
The
rebirths.
very first point I
You
made.
forgot to mention the
You've
rebirths.
proven me right and you wrong.
No, you forgot to mention the
It
rebirths.
means your son and daughter can be the prime minister.
After the rebirths.
Your son and daughter can be a
After the
Brahmin.
rebirths.
If you're untouchable,
Which you keep
your son
ignoring.
and daughter
Which you
can be
keep
a Brahmin.
ignoring. You know why you have been refuted again? From the Hindu
You've
scriptures.
just proven me right.
No, I did
By the
not.
way, by
From
the
the
way,
rebirths. Did you see that?
proved you wrong.
It is from the rebirths they become. So when you become many rebirths, then you might become a Brahmin.
It does say that.
Not in the same birth, which is the reason he didn't want me to read the Mahabharata.
Listen. Listen. He's saying not in the same birth.
And I read it here as well.
If you're untouchable, your son and daughter can become a Brahmin and
Not
the
me.
prime minister.
Read the last statement here, brother.
But not me.
Brother, read this. Read
You
this.
could have from your birth.
Read the one I've highlighted. Read
So
it aloud.
everyone can from their birth.
Read it aloud. What does it say?
Everyone gets born.
What does
Everybody
it mean?
gets born.
Only through innumerable births, which he didn't want to mention earlier. That is the reason I say he's lying. The Brahmins are not just based, they're teachers. Look at the way he like you said.
Through your birth.
My friend, you have been
Through your
proven to be
birth,
lying.
no.
Yeah, exactly. You
Through
didn't
your
mention that.
birth, through your birth, you can change your vocation.
Thank you. So you agree it's
From
based on-
birth you can.
So you agree it's not the same birth.
So long as you're
He's not a
apprenticed.
teacher.
So long as you are apprenticed.
Now
you
he's
can.
backtracking. Now he's backtracking. You've been exposed on the camera.
I haven't.
You should be.
You've
you
just
should be
said through
ashamed.
your birth you can change.
Only through innumerable births.
But who defines that? You define that yourself. Okay, the innumerable births are done. I'm going to change and be a Brahmin.
That's from the Mahabharata, not from me. It's from the Hindu
I
scriptures.
say myself, innumerable births are done. Now I'm a Brahmin.
Exactly. So you're
It
basing.
all depends on can I do it? I'm born. I go and try, do an apprenticeship with a Brahmin. Can I be a Brahmin? I'm a Brahmin.
After how many births?
I say the innumerable births are done with me.
Innumerable births. Did you see that? How would you know which birth you're going to
Point
become?
is, the
Claiming the immigrant, he's claiming, he said,
No, now he's
can
backtracking.
decide.
Earlier he said they were just teachers. He's backtracked so many times.
No,
This guy flip-flops, you know.
Brahmins
When
were
he finds-
literally
when-
school
when-
teachers.
when I-
That's the literal meaning of a Brahmin.
You know,
it's not an ethnic group.
Speaking of school, I schooled you from the Mahabharata. That's why you retract. You lied.
My friend.
You lied.
Our
You said
Brahmins-
they were only
our
teachers.
Brahmin school
They were only teachers.
No.
Yes, Brahmins can be. Can the Kshatriyas? Can the
Kshatris means warrior.
Okay, can they be school teachers? Because today you don't have war in India. Okay, can they be school teachers?
Can who be school
The
teachers?
Kshatriyas.
Yes.
Okay.
The sons and daughters can be.
So what is the uniqueness about the Brahmin being a school
There
teacher?
isn't being any uniqueness. That's the
Thank
point
you.
I'm making.
So Brahmin doesn't mean school teacher. Thank you. You just proved yourself wrong
What
again.
we're saying is
Oh
that
my
anybody
God.
can become a school teacher if they can do the job.
But
my
you
friend.
said they were called Brahmins, school teacher. Everyone who's a school teacher is called a
The
Brahmin.
fact is,
that is
the
utter
fact is-
rubbish.
just a theological
Utter nonsense.
Yeah, it's a theological question.
Okay, so
What
now
we're doing is, what we've established anyway,
You know, even the
is that
Kshatriyas,
there's a lot of
wait,
propaganda.
Even the
and there's a lot
Kshatriyas-
of misquoting.
Even the Kshatriyas, the caste, wait, Brahmins, then come the Kshatriyas, and then come the Vaishyas.
Anyway, it's nice
the Kshatriyas
debate. Nice
and the
debate. I'll
Vaishyas
see you
cannot
next
become
time.
Brahmin. What's your name, by the way?
It's very late. It's
What's your
Bill.
name? Bill?
Nice to meet you.
Okay, my name is Hashim. Nice talking to you.
Nice talking.
Make sure you watch this on DawahWise channel.
Okay.
And see how many times you lied. And how many times I caught you.
I don't
And
think-
I schooled you. I'm not a Brahmin, but I schooled you. Okay, Jazakallah khair, brothers and sisters. You see, this is the difference between Islam and Hinduism. Hinduism, guys like him, they are born Hindus maybe, but then they left their religion.
I know.
They want to go about and say that, oh, I like Islam, I like bit of Christianity, bit of Buddhism, bit of Hinduism, and then they try to say, yes, look, I'm a great guy, I'm a good man. But then what they do is they actually push everything that the Hindus consider to be sacred and religious under the bus. And they do the same thing with the Buddhists and the Muslims and the Christians as well. They don't actually, they're not loyal to any of these. They pick and mix. And this is exactly what the Emperor Akbar did in India. He wanted to please everyone. So what he did, he picked a bit of from every religion and then he portrayed it as a new religion called Deen-e-Ilahi. What happened? That particular religion flopped. It was a waste of time and everybody realized that this is nothing but his own whims and desires. Similarly, Bill here, yes, who considers that the British should have stayed in India, and I don't think anyone who is a proud Indian would ever say that. Yes, this guy is mentally colonized, and that's the reason he wants the Brits still to be in India. Of course they did good, but whom did they do good to? Whom did they lay out the railways for? It wasn't for the Indian people to be transported easily, it was for the goods to be transported all over India. So they can use the money of the Indians to become more rich.
Why are you criticizing?
They colonize the country not for the sake of the Indians or to give them a better life. Yes, when the Mughals were there, and I'm not saying the Mughals were all perfect either, they had their bad habits and they had their bad history as well. But when they came there, they stayed there. Yes, they made that their country. They built monuments like the Taj Mahal, which India is still proud of, and India gets a lot of revenue from that. They get a lot of money on Mughal architecture, like the Qutub Minar, like the Taj Mahal, like the Red Fort. During every Independence Day, the Prime Minister, they go there and they unfurl the flag of India, and they're proud of it. They showcase their army over there in a Mughal architecture. Sorry, this particular building the Red Fort built by the Mughals as well. And they also get a lot of revenue from that throughout the year, just like the Taj Mahal and so on. So when the Mughals came to India, they stayed there. They made it that country. Like he said, it became the richest country in the world because of the Mughals. Yes, and this is what happens between the difference between a colonialist and some people. You know, at that time they did not have the United Nations, so they didn't have like a what do you say, a state system like we do today. So every major king or emperor, they used to invade another country when they had lots of army or lots of money, and this was a norm at that time. Yes, so when you read about Ashoka, he conquered all the way to Afghanistan himself. How did that happen? Because he was a conqueror. He was, you know why Ashoka is called the greatest today in India? Because they acknowledge that he was a great emperor who expanded India greatly. And this is the reason he's on the coins in India. I think his statue, not himself, but the 4 lions which represent Ashoka's lions, and even the Ashoka pillar in India, which they're proud of as a national heritage. So they used to respect this. They didn't say that, oh, he killed thousands and millions of people, hence we're going to reject him. And by the way, Ashoka also changed from Hinduism to Buddhism, just like Dr. Ambedkar changed from Hinduism to Buddhism. And there are many flaws within that. They have the sati system. He says that's propaganda. It's not propaganda. What happened when Krishna died? His wife committed suicide. She jumped in fire. And this is in the books. When Krishna died, yes, Krishna, one of the gods, they can die as well. Yes, and this is what we know. You know, recently they made some Bollywood movies in, I think it's called Padmavat or something. And this queen, this Hindu queen, when she feared her life, she took part in something called Johar, which is where they try to save their honor by jumping into fire. So jumping into fire is something which is quite predominant. Before the Brits came, actually it was the Brits, the colonialists, who stopped this evil practice of widows burning called sati and this Johar and whatever it is. It was the Brits who stopped this. So they did do some good, other than educating them and building railways and the postal system and the education system, which many of the Indians are still proud of. Yes. So there are good things they have done. I'm not saying no. But to say that I wish the Brits had stayed in India and under the yoke of colonialism, I think this guy's lost it. He's probably a coconut, I think. Yes. Who is brown from the outside and still white inside, you know. And I don't mean like this is something that he probably just learned in a day or so. Something that has developed in his whole life. Yes, he has internalized it to such a level that he wants to remain both mentally colonized and also physically colonized. Yes, and this, you know, no one in India would want colonization, or anywhere in any country would want colonization. Nobody would, because colonization was evil. It was selfish. It was to actually bring money to Britain and to make Britain a great nation. They used to say that the sun never set in the British Empire. Look what happened today. It has set. Okay? So anyway, look, all I'm saying is that there are flaws in every single empire, every single dynasty. Nobody's perfect. But to use propaganda like the way he did, saying that the caste system is just something which is called Varana and is based on the vocation, is based on the career, the type of career you choose. No. When I showed him evidence from their own scriptures, Upanishads and the Mahabharatas, which existed before the Mughals came, before the British came, then it is not propaganda. It is in your own scriptures. If you want to throw that under the bus, that's your prerogative. But do not say that this is propaganda. It is pretty real. Go to India today. They don't even get married until they check what caste they belong to. They don't even get married until they look at the horoscope if they match. This is the amount of discrimination they have there. So there is a lot of discrimination in India, no doubt about it. To just push it under the carpet is not going to resolve anything. To solve the problem, you have to first acknowledge it, that there is definitely a problem with the different castes. Go to any and look up any newspaper articles. You will, sorry, not articles, the matrimonials, the newspaper matrimonials, and you will see that they specify which caste they want to get married with. Yes, and they specify that this has to be the same caste. Yes, and this is not something which is optional. It is mandatory for the marriage even. So yes, caste system is pretty much alive. It's got nothing to do with occupation anymore, because I don't think there's only 4 occupations in India. If anybody says that, then they must be really silly to say. You can bunch them, group them under, but this different jati, they call them the Brahmin jati, the Kshatriya jati, the Vaishya jati, and the Shudra jati. And the Shudra are the lowest, that's why they call lower caste. The reason they had to actually write a constitution and have special clause for the protection of this lower caste speaks volumes. The reason is because they were indeed getting discriminated and still are getting discriminated in India. There's no doubt about this. And then there are people who are even beyond these 4 castes that they have, the 4 varanas which they call. They're not even fit enough to be fitted into these 4 categories of society that they have used. They're called the Dalits and the Chandals, who are the untouchables. So if a Hindu touches them, especially a Brahmin, he'll go and take a shower because they are so, I don't know, impure, unclean, and they will cast them as untouchables. Recently, there have been news articles in the Indian newspapers where a particular Dalit or someone who's an untouchable, who's a lower caste, he actually touched the pole which connects one of the idols. He didn't even touch the idol directly. He touched a pole which is keeping it standing, you know? And yes, I think it was a Shudra. And he was, I think it was a kid actually. His parents were punished something like 60,000 rupees as a punishment for touching the pole that connects the idol. This is the amount of discrimination there is. Yes, many of the women are actually raped and killed because they should know their place in society. That's what they were told. Yes, this was an article I read in Reuters which I wanted to bring up to him. We didn't want to indulge in that. So yes, acknowledge these different discriminations which are found in your own scriptures. Yes, including the Manusmriti, which I didn't mention with regards to caste system, but it actually gives you the rules of what a Kshatriya should do, what is the position of a caste, whether they should be touched or not, based on the lower caste or not. This is all mentioned in the scriptures. It's actually like a rule book, and that's called Manu's rule, this Manusmriti. And this is many Hindus consider to be a sacred book of this, and they respect it as religiously. There are, neo-Hindus like these guys, they wouldn't care about anything. They would, as soon as it disagrees with their modernist views, they will chuck it under the bus. So for them, they have no difference between a religious book or something which their own whims and desires agree or disagree with. So they always go with what their own whims and desires agree, rather than the scripture which the Hindus consider to be a religious book. There's a big difference between the two. One is your own opinion, the other is considered to be sacred and holy for many of the thousands and millions of Hindus who believe in the scriptures. With that, Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Don't forget to subscribe to DawahWise and the other channels here as well. Jazakallah khairan.